once you've got a great piece of media, what next? So we've made the tools, but how do you use them, right? We're going to give some tips on using media to help spread God's word in the 21st century. Welcome to inRoads, where we talk about the why of Appian Media and how you can use the technology of today to spread the timeless message of the Bible. You can learn more about us and watch our free video series at appianmedia.org. So I'm Craig. I'm a freelance video producer, coffee connoisseur, and one of the co-hosts of our inRoads podcast, co-founder of Appian Media. Have I said enough about myself? I already feel a little...
No, continue, please. I just want to...
I also...
Okay, I was just kidding. Don't continue. So, I'm Stu. I'm the other co-founder. That's all I'm going to say because Craig's the man here.
Let's just move on. So we're talking about, look, we create the media content. We give people tools to help re-engage people with the Bible, resources that they can use in their own Bible classes. But how do we use them?
Right.
We've known since the beginning that these are tools that are not as often used. And people think they're great, they enjoy watching them, but they don't know how to use them. So let's talk about what kind of tools do we have in the Bible specifically that people used to spread the gospel.
Yeah.
What can you think about?
The thing that comes to mind for me is I'm skimming through Matthew right now, and Jesus talked in parables.
Right.
I mean, plain and simple, there was a point in his ministry where he just started speaking in parables, and a lot of those parables were visuals that the audience was familiar with, whether it's a sower, whether it's sheep. They were things that the audience could say, you know what, I saw a sheep yesterday, and I know exactly what he's talking about. And I think that's kind of, in a way, what we're trying to do. We're taking visuals, we're taking things that people are familiar with, and we're putting them into a medium that they're familiar with using. And that's very powerful to do. And it's the reason why Jesus used it when he taught. It's the reason why God, when he was speaking to Abraham, said, look at the stars, look at the sand. Yeah. We're visual people. We're visual creatures.
Right, and God would equip his prophets to do the same thing. He would give them sometimes physical things. Go and bury this loincloth, right? And after so many days, bring it out again, and it's soiled and it's ruined. And I want you to go take that physical thing to my people to show them. Think of that.
Jeremiah and him talking about the potter and the clay.
Yes.
And man, such great visuals that we can even use today. I mean, we have in our series talked about sheep and shown sheep and talked about the sower and shown the different grounds and things like that. But the problem with, I won't say the problem, but the thing with parables, the things that we read in the scripture is, living in the place and time we live, we don't all farm.
Right.
I don't know about you, but I haven't raised sheep lately, and so I'm not as familiar with that, but it was something that people were familiar with at that time. And so I think we can use those examples. And, I think it's important to say that the tools we're creating are not the only tools out there. There are other organizations that are making great media about the Bible that can be used as well. And I think that the podcast that we're talking about now shouldn't be limited to just what Appian Media is doing. I want people to take all of these tools and use them.
Yeah, our whole thing is giving people more tools to put in their tool belt. Right? And like you said, we're not the only tools. But how beneficial it is for teachers to be able to reach into that toolbox and say, look, this is actually what's going to work best for my audience this time. Next time it's going to be a video. Next time it's going to be a workbook.
Right.
Next time it's going to be a practical physical thing that I'm going to let the students or the kids feel and touch.
Yeah.
We want to be a provider of those resources so that they can have whatever they need. They can have the options available to them. Because we all learn in different ways. And one of the reasons why Appian Media has just struck such a chord with me is I am a visual learner.
Right. Same.
Right?
Same.
If you sit me down and get a lecturer in front of me to talk for 2 hours, I'm going to struggle.
Yeah.
Growing up in Bible class, people used to think that I was just, tuning out. I would draw pictures. I would listen to the sermon and I would draw little cartoons. I've got pages and pages and pages of them.
Funny.
But that's how I assimilated the information. I
Yeah.
needed it in visual form and I would remember it better.
Yeah.
And a lot of people learn that way.
They do. And I'm glad you went there because I think in the past, especially before video became such a prominent thing like it is today, there weren't a lot of resources available for people to use in a Bible class or a small group study. It was the Bible, which is great. And the words in the Bible are so powerful. And you can read the Bible and get everything you need, but like you were saying, and so many of us are visual learners, what happens when somebody gets up in front of a class and lectures? You tend to lose some of your audience.
Right.
They zone out.
Jesus knew that.
He did.
The Apostle Paul knew that. Look, he went up to Mars Hill, right?
Yeah.
And he used the visuals around them and said, look at these idols, look at these altars. He knew that that's a way to get people connected. And you touched on it there a little bit, the evolution of these tools, right?
Yeah.
It's changed. You and I aren't that old, but I'm old enough to remember that for a sermon, the tool that you had at your disposal was a chalkboard.
Yep.
Right? And that works in some instances. Eventually, they upgraded to a whiteboard. It's a little cleaner, right? There are a little bit more that you can do with that. But then you've got those projectors, right? The overhead projectors, right? With the slides that you had to draw on. Now that's changing. And I feel like it's changing quicker.
It is.
By leaps and bounds. We're using PowerPoint.
Yeah.
We're using not just slides with bullet points that appear, but we're able to incorporate photos and videos into our visuals.
Yeah. I mean, and I'll just say that I see it in the congregation I worship with, in that this is the first place I've ever been that there are TVs mounted in every classroom. And man, am I glad that there are TVs mounted in every classroom. Because what it is it's providing the tools for the teacher to use. And granted, when I go into Bible class, at this point, they're turned on maybe 25 to 30% of the time. So that means 70% of the time they're not on. And it's because the generation that's teaching right now wasn't used to that or may not be comfortable with those tools in terms of like using them and manipulating them. But they're there so that way as we grow and as we expand, they're available. And I think that we're starting to see that.
Yeah, and we want to be clear, and we've said this from the very beginning, we are in no way trying to advocate replacing the book.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? The book is the thing that's going to save people. The book is the thing that's going to change hearts.
Yeah.
But what we're trying to do is offer resources to connect with the book more.
Yeah.
That's why when you watch Following the Messiah or you watch Searching for a King, when they reference a Bible passage, we want it to appear on the screen. They may not read it fully in the episode. Right. They may just mention it. We want people to go open the book.
Yeah.
Search through it and read that passage again. One of the most favorite comments that I got when Searching for a King was released was Jeremy told us about this young lady who had said, I knew for a long time that I should be reading the Bible more. And it wasn't becoming a habit for me, and I didn't know where to begin. So I watched Searching for a King. This is our series about the United Kingdom, about the first kings of Israel. And she said, and then I went and started 1 Samuel. And she said, I just read and read and read. It was the most I'd read in one sitting. That's what we want this content to do.
So talking about what evangelism has looked like in the past, specifically talking about tools that have been used, this is not a new concept.
No, it's
not. To video. You go all the way back to the Gutenberg press, that revolutionized the ability to have God's printed word because they were printing Bibles, where before that there wasn't as many Bibles readily available. And we're not sitting in church every Sunday unrolling our scroll, listening to the preacher read God's word to us like they were doing in the first century. We have printed Bibles.
I've not actually met anyone who said, you know what, I only read handwritten Bibles. I don't like this printed stuff. And we're kind of joking about that. I'm certainly not trying to make fun of anyone, but the fact is these tools, if used well, if not manipulated in some way to distract from the word, can be of such value.
They can.
And such benefit to our study. Now we have it printed. But now we have it on our phones. Right? Now we have on one device dozens of different translations of the Bible.
And you can put it in your pocket.
That's right. You can put it in your pocket. I remember the congregation that I was attending at, this was years ago, when someone brought in an iPad to use as his primary Bible. And it raised some eyebrows. And then we all very quickly realized, well, this is genius.
Yeah.
Now he doesn't only have maybe the New King James version of it, but he's got dozens of others, and he can sit there in class, and it makes his study more rich.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what we're doing with video. That's what we're doing with podcasts and with media. Really, it's about not distracting, but making the study more rich.
Yeah, and it's happening. It's happening over time, and I look at it and I can remember when that first person brought in an iPhone or an iPad and read their Bible off of it. But now I look around, and I'd say 25 to 30% of people in your congregation are now using technology in that way. I think it's only going to grow and grow and grow, and that's good. And it's okay. And, I think video fits into that, obviously, very seamlessly. So
because it's all about what can we do to evangelize?
Yeah.
What can we do to spread the gospel? So let's talk about that, the importance of evangelism. Christianity was never intended to be keepers of an aquarium. They were meant to be fishers of men, right? Okay, we're going to get our group together and keep just lifting each other up because we've got the gospel and it's powerful and it's changed us, and isn't that great, everybody? No, the gospel is meant to be spread. Very early on in Christian history, persecution drove them all out of Jerusalem. And what did they do? They went everywhere spreading the word.
Yeah, and I mean,
evangelism cannot be understated.
It can't be, and you're absolutely right. It is meant to be spread, and we talked in our first episode about the roads that the Romans built, not because the gospel was meant to be spread, but because they needed them. And that's a technology. I mean, we don't think of roads as a technology today, but that was, man, when roads first came onto the scene and it made transportation and travel easier, that's huge. And whether it was passive or whether they were consciously thinking about it, Christians spread that gospel faster because of the roads that were available to them. It's very much the same way, but it's the idea. Appian Media, what we're doing is not meant for a small group of people.
No.
It's not meant to be kept in a closed society that you have to pay exorbitant amounts of money in order to be included in that society. It's meant for everybody, and that's why our content is free. And that's why other resources are available for free as well.
That's right.
And I don't know if this is where you were going to go or not, but I want to kind of list out some of the resources that, maybe we use. I have some that I think of personally that I use when I'm studying the Bible.
Beyond what Appian Media has created?
Beyond the Appian Media. I mean, you could think even in terms of just the mediums that you use to study the Bible.
Right. It's not uncommon when I'm teaching a Bible class that I've got my Bible and my iPad in my lap. I'm using websites. BibleHub.com is actually one of my favorite things to use that has multiple translations on there, but it also has like Hebrew lexicon, Greek lexicons.
Oh, wow.
It's got links to other commentaries. So websites are things that we have access to that I use on a regular basis. Obviously, I'm a big fan of using video. A few minutes of video to explain a point better than I could do, or to offer a visual that I don't have on me, with me, is incredibly valuable, especially, not only for them, but especially for younger audiences.
Yeah. I think beyond what Appian Media is creating, groups like the Bible Project, they have a lot of great videos. Their Read Scripture series is really pretty amazing. We'll put links to all these in our show notes that are available so you can download those. But I use websites as well. And, a lot of them are topical stuff. And what they do is they kind of spur me to think about, okay, this would be a good sermon topic, or I'm studying this right now, and this is a great thing to consider. Videos, websites. I even listen to podcasts. Absolutely. To do a Bible study. So if I'm teaching a class and I know the topic is going to be whatever it is, I will go search for podcasts that are talking about that relevant topic and listen to them, because it's 30, 45 minutes of in-depth conversation on a topic that I'm trying to study anyway. And somewhere in there's nuggets that I can say, oh, so I'll be taking notes during the podcast.
Yeah.
I'll be, and I think that all of those things are amazing for Bible study and for teaching.
Yeah. And so it's reaching a larger audience. It's reaching more and more people. So let's talk about the reach that we have been able to see with the efforts that we've done here at Appian Media, the work that we've done so far. What have we been able to accomplish? What has God been able to use us to accomplish? Mm-hmm. We are reaching places that I never in my life would have thought we could have had a hand in getting the gospel.
That to me is probably the most eye-opening statistic, is the number of countries that our small organization has been able to reach. And like you mentioned, it's God working through us to reach people around the world. But it's over 50 countries now.
Actually, it's twice that.
Is it really?
We have hit over 100 different countries with the series that we've created.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
isn't that amazing?
That's amazing to me, because you alluded to it, but it's the idea that I would love to visit 100 countries in my lifetime, but I don't think I will. And the fact that we can create one thing, press send, and it goes out onto the internet, and then people who never will meet us are able to consume that content, just kind of blows my mind. And so I think that's one thing that Appian Media has really done well.
Hundreds of thousands of views. We've got many of our videos available in multiple languages. I would love to see dozens more.
Right.
And it's just growing. And what I love is hearing people come to us from countries that I have never visited, maybe aren't on my bucket list yet to visit, saying, I found you guys, and this is amazing. Thanks for doing what you're doing. That is powerful.
It is.
That is really encouraging.
Yeah.
And it's about, like we said at the very beginning, it's about making those inroads. It's about making progress, advancing the gospel into enemy territory, right? It's saying to Satan, and it's saying to the powers of darkness, we're coming in here.
We're coming in.
Right? We're coming in here. The gospel is not going to be stopped. I get so excited. I get so fired up about it.
Yeah, and I'm looking at these quotes that you put into the show notes here. And the one that really just so powerful to me is, we have seen an increase in class attendance, interest, participation, and positive feedback. Thank you so much for all the work of your team to make this available. I have recommended it to several people in other congregations. May God bless you all. And
mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished.
Right?
I mean, by no means is this us patting ourselves on the back. This is not us. This is God working in, talking about the parables. All we're called to do is sow the seed, and God will provide the increase for it. But it's the idea that to that user, that was a real visible response. Yep. They saw the media being used, this tool being used to study and to evangelize, and they saw, in this case, numerical growth in terms of class attendance.
Yeah, and then they turned around and recommended it to other people. They turned around and shared it. That's what the gospel is supposed to be done, right?
That's exactly what it's supposed to be.
You get it, you benefit from it, it changes your life, and you can't help but tell other people about it. That's what this is.
Yeah.
We heard from someone from New Zealand. This one obviously piqued my interest. If you know me at all, you know that New Zealand is pretty much at the top of my bucket list of places I'd like to go. We did not purposely set out to reach people in New Zealand, but they found us.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. And this person said, I just want to write and say thanks for all the great work that you've done with the Following the Messiah series. We were writing to recommend it to a friend today, and commented about how we admire your gentleness, your thorough research, Christ-centered focus, and your desire to produce quality material and make it freely available. That means so much to us. And again, like you said, it's not a pat on the back. It's not saying we've done such great work. It's this person recognizes the Christ-centered focus, and they want to tell others about it.
Yep.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished.
And
Absolutely.
that's powerful.
Yeah. Well, you want to go to a sponsor break?
Yeah. I hate to do it because I'm still so fired up. But yes, we can't do this without our sponsors. So let's go ahead and do that. The inRoads podcast is sponsored by Container Solutions Incorporated. CSI makes custom engineered packaging solutions for big and small industries, ranging from manufacturing and automotive to military use. Foam, plastic, steel, you name it, and they can make packaging for your product out of just about any material. CSI is a proud sponsor of the inRoads podcast and Appian Media, and we are thrilled to work with them. You can learn more about what they do on their website, containersolutionsinc.com. You can also find more information about our sponsors in this episode's show notes. So we're talking about the impact that these tools have had on our evangelism, right? Our ability to share the gospel with as many people as we possibly can. There was a user that we heard from on YouTube who expressed to us that they found these videos when they were in a very dark place. And by watching it and reconnecting with the Bible, they were able to find some light.
That's powerful.
That is powerful.
That's real powerful.
It gives me chills every time I think about that. If our efforts have impacted even just one person like that, then this has been worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what this is all about. And we want to, as Appian Media, equip our audience, equip you as our listeners to do the same thing. We aren't making these tools just for us. Make no mistake, we're certainly using these tools. Oh man, I'm using them to teach my kids. I use them in my own Bible classes, but we're using them, we're creating them for everybody. So how can they use them? Let's talk about some very practical tips, how people can use these videos in social media, how they can use these videos in their classes, in maybe even their homeschooling. Give me your thoughts.
You know, I have a story that came to mind. I had somebody that I worshiped with. They mentioned to me one time that they had shared a link to, I think it was the first 5 episodes of Following the Messiah with a coworker, and it was via email. They just sent a quick email that said, "I think you'd really enjoy these. Check this link out." And that was it. And their coworker came back to them and said, "I watched the videos. They were amazing." That was a door that opened for a conversation. That is a door that wouldn't have opened if they hadn't sent the link in the first place. But man, was that such a low impact, passive way to do it, because all you have to do is just type up an email to somebody that you know may be interested in this video and say, "Hey, check this out." And then the conversation has started.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think when it comes to evangelism, one of the biggest hesitations that we have as Christians is starting the conversation. We're hesitant because we're afraid. We don't know what the response is going to be. And so we just say, I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going to go there with the conversation. So being able to do that. And you mentioned social media. Talk about a massive tool. Who among us doesn't have 100 friends or 200 or 1,000 people?
You have 100 friends?
Yeah, not hardly. But there's even, there's people that have 1,000 followers or friends on social media. And all you have to do is link to a video or an article and say, "I really found this to be powerful." And boom, it's in front of, hundreds of people. That used to not be the case. And so I think that evangelism, the tools have changed, and it's really put more power in our hands to do that.
You talk about digital ways of sharing it, and it's as easy as a couple of clicks to send an email, social media. But we're also finding that people are ordering a handful of DVDs,
right,
or a handful of our thumb drives. I love our thumb drives.
Yeah.
Shameless product placement plug here, because it's something little, it fits in your pocket, but it's a great conversation starter where you say, "Here's something for you. There's a series of videos that I'd love for you to see. It's about the life of Jesus. I really think that this would be helpful. Just check it out." And at the very least, maybe they hate it and they clear the thumb drive and they keep it to use for their own stuff. It's in the back of their mind, and it's something physical, tangible that we like to be able to share.
It's that seed that's been planted.
It's a seed that's been planted. That's
evangelism.
Exactly right.
It's evangelism through and through.
That's right.
And there are countless others, that we could talk about, because evangelism isn't just, there's still tangible products that you can give to people, as you mentioned, the thumb drives and the DVDs and stuff like that. And then so many digital avenues that have been created today. Again, with so many videos and podcasts and blog articles, and it's amazing.
And we've been talking primarily about our series, like our full video series, and sharing those with others. But the fact is, we've got this incredible resource room that we talk about on our website. Right. That, look, maybe as a teacher, I don't necessarily need a 25-minute episode about the kings of Israel. What I really need is I just need 60 seconds of a shepherd leading his sheep. A video clip that I can put in my own presentation because I want to talk about Psalm 23, or I want to talk about, fill in the blank. You go onto this resource room and you've got access to all these photos, pre-cut video clips. It's that little spark of video, that little spark of animation to get your audience re-engaged.
Right.
And so I don't know about you, it happens with me at our congregation where they come up to me and say, okay, I'm getting ready to teach, fill in the blank. Craig, do you have any media about...
I'm getting more of that.
Yes. Yeah. They realize that the treasure trove is there.
It's there.
And we are doing our very best to continue to add to that library. Every trip we make, every project that we create gives us the ability to add more and more assets to it, because we want teachers of Bible classes, of home Bible studies, of homeschool groups, of educators, to access this library and use them how they need to share the gospel in the ways that they're already doing. That's exciting.
That's
really
exciting
to me.
Yeah.
So we would love to hear from you guys about ways that you're using this content. What continues to surprise me is when people come to us and say, I used it in this way, and you and I usually go, what? I never would have thought of that. That's sweet. That's really great.
Our audience is very creative.
Very creative. And we should be. We should be training ourselves to be creative with our evangelism. Not everyone who needs the gospel is the same. They learn different, they listen different, they receive the message in different ways. And so if you've got some ways that have worked for you, or you'd like to see us develop some new ways. We've got study guides. We didn't talk about these much, but these study guides that accompany the video series that we've created for use in small group studies, for use in your Bible classes, we are thrilled when people come to us and say, you know what would be really helpful? The next study guide that you create, can you add fill in the blank? And we are constantly trying to refine that material, create new material, and give you as many options as you can to reach as many people as you can. So this has been inRoads. This has been our first season of what we hope to be a really beneficial podcast for you. And we've got so much more that we can talk about.
But I think we really touched on so many things throughout the first season that are beneficial for people to study the Bible and to share the Bible. And hopefully, even from a technical aspect, content creators, I hope we're able to pull stuff out of this series and say, okay, I can do that. And I can create that. And, that's how they did that. And I think that's amazing as well, too.
Absolutely. So. This podcast is meant to inspire everyone. So maybe you're a teacher and you're trying to find new ways to teach. We hope that we've been able to give you some extra resources and things to think about. Maybe you're a content creator and you're trying to find ways to use your skill set to connect people with the gospel. We hope that we've inspired you to do that. Maybe you're a parent and you're trying to find ways to teach your kids in new and exciting ways. We hope that the inRoads podcast and everything we're doing at Appian Media pushes you to be better, more effective, diligent workers in the kingdom.
Absolutely. It's also important that we get feedback from our listeners. So if you've got podcast ideas, If you, if you want to hear us talk about something specific on the podcast, let us know. Reach out to us through appianmedia.org so that way we can hear your feedback because, as Craig said, this is just the first season. We hope there's a lot more of it, but we want to continually make this better as we go, and that's going to come through feedback from our listeners.
Absolutely. So the inRoads podcast is a production of Appian Media. We're a nonprofit video production company, and we are 100% crowdfunded. If you're interested in learning more about how you can support Appian Media so that we can continue to create more great, freely available content about the Bible, visit us at appianmedia.org/inroads.
Well, this has been fun.
This has been a blast.
Yeah. Could talk for a lot longer than... How long have we been talking now?
Oh, man. Not enough.
Not
so much
long
more
enough.
to say.
There's so much to say.
more to share,
Yeah.
and we look forward to connecting with so many more of you.